Hey everybody, it's me, Luna, the Zen Witch. And let's see, I'm going to start off today by giving you a little bit of a smoke cleanse. Oh, just this, once you start doing ritual and you use herbs like sage and you start to connect that smell with certain states of mind, it's kind of instantaneous. So I'm here today with another unboxing video of a classic tarot deck. What deck is that? Well, you sure can't tell by looking at this bag. This is a deck that the box went by the wayside a long, long time ago, so I put it in one of my little brocade bags. This is called the Tarot of the Old Path. And it was one of the first really like overtly pagan decks that I got my hands on anyway. Backs of the cards definitely show an herb. I think that might, I don't know, I'm curious now. And it says Tarot of the Old Path, a handbook of female wisdom. Instruction by Howard Rodway. Introduction. Let's see here. How interesting. Okay, I just found out something I didn't know before, or that I'd long forgotten. The Tarot of the Old Path has emerged in recognition of the many card readers who are witches and initiates of Wicca, often referred to as the craft, the old religion, or the old path. In fact, no witch is truly a witch without a good working knowledge of these ancient symbols. I'll argue with that. A witch is a witch is a witch. That sounds to me like the same thing, like you can never, the Christian belief of nobody can get to heaven unless you've been baptized. Well, what if you don't ever have that opportunity? That's bullshit. So same thing with tarot. What if you've just never had the opportunity to run across a tarot deck? If you're a witch, you're a witch. So validate you there. Witchcraft, to use a popular term, should not be confused with Satanism or black magic. It's beneficial, nature-based, blah, blah, blah. Some of the most articulate voices in the movement have come together to act as contributor advisors for the Tarot of the Old Path. The group of consultants for this tarot is as follows. Margot Adler, USA. Margot Adler was the one that wrote, it's a book about witchcraft. I know it's like an anthology with a lot of different things. Hold on. Okay. Drawing Down the Moon. Sorry, I wasn't going to let that one go by. Drawing Down the Moon is a book that really looked at the beginnings of the craft, the modern day craft, and interviews with a lot of people, and it's a very, very good book. Lois, Bourne in the UK. So the rest of these people are in the UK. Patricia Crowther, Janet and Stewart Farrar, the authors of The Witch's Bible Complete and Spells and How They Work, and The Witch's God and The Witch's Goddess, and many, many other books. Aislinn Lester, Pauline Newbery, and Kim Tracey. The only other name I recognize there is Patricia Crowther. At any rate, our Coven of Eight have provided card descriptions, meaning, symbolism, verse, and Old Path Tarot ritual, and advice on numerous aspects of the Tarot, including correspondences, the astrological and elemental influences that affect a particular card. Thus, they ensure that this is an authentic Tarot of the Old Path. All of the above-mentioned contributions are to be found in my companion to these cards, the Tarot of the Old Path instruction book. In this booklet, consultants' names appear under the titles of the major arcana cards, to which they've provided specialist information. Stay right there. La la la, la la la, la 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 la. So much for my promise to never jump cut, but there was some dead air there because I finally remembered that there's a book with this, a big book. Lord, a little bit of legwork before I hit record would be good, but what the fuck. Howard Rodway. So now we'll get some more information here. Urania Verlads AG. So I'm looking at the 1990 is the copyright. Urania Verlags AG Neuhausen. So this was published. Yeah, Urania Verlags AG. No idea. So here's something from Patricia Crowther at the very beginning here. Let me push my keyboard in. The Tarot. I am a universal oracle. I hold the key to divination. I answer every question. I manifest the ancient wisdom. I express the laws of nature. I embrace all things holy. I reveal the esoteric. I speak to the skeptic. I portray the royal road. I coalesce the elements. I inflame the sibyl. I extend the lamp to the seeker. I am the Tarot. Okay, so as I suspected, it says to A.G. Mueller, Switzerland, for making this Tarot project possible. And then there's the consultant. So that A.G., Urania Verlads A.G. is A.G. Mueller, I guess. Okay. So there's a little thing in the beginning here that talks about each one of these consultants, about the artist. Okay. Again, we've got Howard Rodway, and it just says Howard Rodway. It doesn't say, art and writing is different. I don't know. About the artist. Sylvia Gainsford's contributions to the Tarot of the Old Path have been immense, and I make no apologies for stating the obvious. It would have been difficult to find another artist who had the combination of artistic skills, sensitivity, and a rapport with the subject that is necessary for a project such as this. Sylvia has provided all these requirements in abundance, on top of which she's contributed the beautiful language of flowers. So, again, we have Sylvia Gainsford, who did the art for this deck, not mentioned. This deck of A Handbook of Female Wisdom by Howard Rodway. Okay, I'm getting pissed off now. And then at the very end here, he mentions artist Sylvia Gainsford, a member of the Fellowship of Isis, has contributed her own card interpretations together with the language of flowers, which aptly complements the cards. She has also dedicated the Lover's card to romantic novelist Barbara Cartland. Blah, blah. So Sylvia Gainsford. And then Howard Rodway, who did... Okay, let's look here too. So, Coven of 8 consultants. So there's a little bio of each one and how to get in touch with all of these contributors, things that they've written, things that they've done. There's something about the Lover's card, Tarot of the Old Path blessing ritual. So you stand and face the east, and it gives you a little thing to read to each of the directions, which is really nice. Okay. There's the Tree of Life. There's the Major Arcana. So I guess at the beginning of each card, it talks about who is writing this. So then I got to ask... Howard, who are you? I mean, I see Howard Rodway, but I don't see him as doing any of the artwork or the writing. So, very interesting, very confusing to me. Might be worth a little bit more research. Let's look at the artwork, shall we? Sylvia. The Fool. And look at how many things are depicted here. There's a fool marching off on his journey. And then we've got this baby crawling into the fire and a panicked woman running to get the baby away from the fire. So definitely well described there. The images of the fool and knowing what you're getting into and not being an idiot. Okay. The Magician, very much a shamanic card in this deck. We've got the elements. He's reading runes. He's got the antlers. There's the white. Actually, that's a unicorn. Epona. We've got the element of water showing up with these triangles. There's no indication of elements there in that way. High Priestess. I love her. Showing her as really being in touch with nature. We've got rabbits, we've got a unicorn, we've got a deer, we've got squirrel, we've got a butterfly and a snake and birds and the crescent moon's spider. And we also have flower images. Now let's take a look and see. Okay, representation. I'm looking to see where the flowers are mentioned. Okay, in the foreground, orpine flowers are growing. The orpine is an herb associated with the moon. Above the plant flutters a 6-point burnet moth. So it does give you a mention of each of the things that shows up in the card. I'm looking at, like, the magician to see if there was one there. Okay, I don't see flowers mentioned there. All right, moving on. The Empress, another beautiful image, and how wonderful it is to see an image of a woman feeding a baby. You know, there we have the stag, we've got birds, again, rabbits, a moth, cherries, pomegranate, wheat, Venus, flowers in the grass, a lotus. There are lots and lots of rich symbology. Here's the emperor. There's the ram, irises, ankh, people dancing in the background, rich image there. The high priest. So instead of the Hierophant, we've got a high priest, the image of the bull and the elephant. And he is holding a plant, and there's an eagle. Let's just take a second here. Okay, the high priestess. Let's look at the high priest. I want to see what's, okay. Carved on his throne is the head of a bull, the sign of Taurus. Also present is the head of an elephant, symbolizing strength, wisdom, moderation, pity, and eternity. That's a lot. Well, the elephant's big. In the foreground stands an eagle, a bird of spiritual principle and the spirit of the sun. In Nordic legend, Odin would often appear in the guise of an eagle. In the background, pine trees, symbolizing immortality, can be seen rising from the mist that masks mysterious rituals and rites to which the high priest holds supreme knowledge. And what he's holding in his hand is vervain, which is a protective herb. So there's all kinds of layers here that you can go to. The Lover's card. And the angels sort of over and above them with the Yoni yantra there. And apples. There are herbs there. So you can see you're going to get a lot of information in each one of these. Look at the chariot. Isn't that awesome? Each one of the horses represents an element. We've got water, we've got air, we've got earth, we've got fire. And again, he's holding an herb in his hands. So you get the symbolism there too. Strength card, rather than holding the lion, she's riding the lion, and she's holding a caduceus, so there's healing energy there too. Really cool images. The wise one rather than the hermit. With the rabbit, look at the fire under his cloak. So we've got winter here, but he opens his cloak and there's springtime, fire and heat and water running. The Wheel of Fortune. You've got kind of harvest scenes in the background there. Come on. Harvest and hunting. And then we've got kind of death down here. And the snake, look, the Ouroboros. This is the snake biting its own tail. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Justice. And they switch justice and strength. I'm going to do a little thing on the justice and strength cards and the switching of those. Strength card, in some people's minds, should be the one that kicks off the second half of the tarot here as the female counterpart to the magician. But we've got justice here instead, and those are two cards that will switch places in decks frequently. Look at the heron. And justice is male. Usually it's female. The lone man rather than the hanged man, and again, not bound, but just hanging there by himself. In jester's clothes with his coins falling out of his pockets. There's a stag, there's a crow, there's a moth. The close. So rather than death, we have the close. And we see an eagle, we see a heron, we see a moth, and we see a baby. So that kind of indicates, the wheel rather than the line. Very pagan. The guide is temperance. We see the god and goddess, the horned one. I'm going to look this one up right now. Okay, the guide. Sagittarius and fire. Sylvia Gainsford, the artist, wrote this one. The guide stands with 1 foot on earth and 1 foot in the water, thus linking the physical and spiritual worlds. Okay, so they're saying this is an exhausted woman. A man looking up at the guiding spirit gains strength as he carries an exhausted woman through these waters. On the chest of this hermaphrodite figure, this is the angel, is the red triangle of earth and the trinity of the triple goddess, maid, mother, and crone. The spirit guide is pouring water from the one goblet to another. And the red triangle of earth, that should have a line through it if that's going to be the symbol of earth. Without the line, it is the symbol, actually, point upward, it's the symbol of fire. Okay, maybe because she's talking about the color of it, I wouldn't associate red with earth. All right, anyway, spirit guide is pouring water from one goblet to another. This is the water of life, which ripples with cosmic vibration, cycle of regeneration, spiritual purification. Silhouettes in the sky are the old goddess and the old god. Ivy is there, promises the return of happiness. So there's temperance, the guide. Temptation rather than the devil. That's kind of cool, because what is it that gets us hooked? It's temptation, it's desire. We've got a fox and all kinds of imagery there too. The tower, in the form of a human head breaking down. That can be kind of powerful if you're looking at an ego crash, The great big old frog. The star, that's pretty standard imagery. Beautiful. Look at the star viewing instrument there. The moon card is illusion. I find this interesting because we're talking about a pagan deck and pagan symbolism and female wisdom. But when we get to the moon, like the main symbol of feminine wisdom, we go to illusion rather than the moon. That's a little disappointing to my present self. Back then it was awesome. Okay, so illusion, we do have standard... But, that's what the moon card talks about. So let's go back to tarot. That is what the moon card talks about. It talks about shifty landscapes, things that you can't see clearly, things that are underground, things that are not yet conscious. Okay. And look at the reflection. So you see her face up here, and you see it reflected in the water down here, and there's a tear. Okay. The sun with the astrological symbols. Okay, now I'm really disappointed. We've got the astrological symbols going in a clockwise direction. And this has people who are prominent in the craft. I mean, come on now. Do you not know enough about astrology to do it the way it's done in astrology? Blows my mind. There's a phoenix there. There's dolmens. This kind of has more of a vibe of the judgment card to it, almost, than the sun. But wow, that was an eye-opener. All right, karma. So the judgment card is karma. And we've got the horned god and the goddess there again. And we've got the souls cycling. So this is kind of cool because you see the soul kind of coming out. Here's a man dead on the battlefield. The soul is coming out and cycling through. And you see kind of a reunion with people that have been there, a reunion with the goddess and the god, lessons, and then back down into the womb. So that's really cool. And then we have the world. And we've got all the symbols of the elements. We've got a fiery wand, again, wand being fire. And the sword represents air here. The cauldrons are water. The pentacle of earth and the sheaves of wheat. And again, the up-pointing pentacle of fire, but I'm curious as to if they're saying it's earth again. I don't know. I'm going to dive deeper into this deck. And I'm going to do it right now, damn it. Okay. Illusion. All right. The world. Okay, the goddess is contained within the sacred oval Vesica Piscis, which is formed by a twisted cord over 3 colors, red, white, and blue. Red, white, and black, usually. Okay, she wears a crescent moon. The degrees of the craft can be seen at each side and above the oval. On the left, a downward pointing triangle with a dot in the center. On the right, a reversed pentagram. Above, a crowned pentagram crowned with an upward pointing pentagram. Above, a crowned pentagram crowned with an upward pointing pentagram. I think they meant triangle. Okay. And then the elements, so they don't really explain those things. I guess they're looking at a degree system, which the degree system that I learned was an upright pentacle was the first degree, and reversed pentacle was the second degree. At any rate, now we go into the suits, the Ace of Rods. The 2, that's kind of very descriptive, picking your way very carefully and skillfully. 3 of Rods, so they're building something together rather than, this is more a businessy kind of thing. And then we have the 4 of Rods, which is more the family relationship kind of thing. Pitchfork and a besom. 5 of Rods, showing the usual kerfuffle. 6, victory. 7, sort of building a structure out of this. So rather than those wands coming at him like they usually do in the 7 of Rods, he's sort of constructing something with them. 8 of Rods, the besoms flying through the air. 9 of Rods. 10 of Rods. So the images are fairly true to the standard tarot there. Definitely medieval, Renaissance-y vibe. There's the page. The Knight, rawr, the Queen, and the King. Now we've got the Ace of Swords, 2 of Swords, no blindfolds there, but we've got visors. Interesting, the idea of not being able to see what you're fighting against. 3 of Swords, definitely heartache and strife. The 4, being kind of barricaded in a safe place. 5, somebody running away from a battle, it looks like. 6, picking your way across towards a goal. 7, there's the thief. 8, still no blindfold, but there's the illusionary idea of being trapped. The 9, being bound. So more of the blindfoldy thing shows up there. And then the 10 of Swords, rock bottom. Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King, none of whom look very happy. Then we've got the cauldrons with the triple moon. Ace, 2, you definitely see the color coding here. Okay. I guess the color coding for swords is yellow. Some people use yellow for air. 2 of cauldrons. 3, even the ones that are laughing and happy look kind of scary. Look at that. It kind of looks scary. Okay. Abundance and happiness, 4 of cauldrons. Very interesting image of a couple there. 5. Looks like this kid's ready to dump this on his head. 6. 7. All these maidens offering cups. 8. Yeeting it on out of there. 9. Happy, happy, joy, joy. 10. The happy family card. And then we've got the page and the knight and the queen and the king. Then finally, pentacles. Wabbit. 2 of pentacles, the balancing act. The 3. This has more of a vibe of the 8 of pentacles, of study and practice. 4, definitely the greedy kind of thing. 5 of pentacles, ruin. 6. So the images do really carry on the vibe of the original tarot images. 7 of pentacles, yeah, whew, pooped. 8, This is the one that usually talks about apprenticeship, but he's constructing things out of. The Wheat, 9 of Pentacles. And the 10. And then we have the Page. And the Knight, and one of my favorite cards in the deck, the Queen of Pentacles. I love her so much. I just immediately, when I went through this deck, she just caught my attention. She's got like a very Eastern European look. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Pop. There we go. So yeah, she's really great. And then the King of Pentacles. So again, really interesting weird things that this is, a feminine deck, and we've got Howard Rodway, but we don't really have him mentioned anywhere, with the meanings. It's like, was he the person that corralled everybody together? First published in 1990, so this was, and I had it very soon after that. So yeah, I got questions, Howard. I got questions. Still, I have used this deck a lot. I really have. This was another deck that I would go to when mine would get stale. So this has been to many psychic fairs and stuff with me. It does give a different perspective on things. It's nice to have people that are part of the craft contributing, and it seems like those contributions are only in the major arcana, where we have, the contributors listed. When we get into the minors, we just have, okay, artist note. Within this suit of rods, the woods depicted are ash, birch, and willow. These 3 have been selected because those who follow the old path will be particularly familiar with them. Okay, and we don't describe them any further than that. So this has also one of those things of, we have secrets and we're not going to tell you. You got to be initiated. I call bullshit on that too. So anyway, we have the suits that I'm assuming this is where Howard comes in with descriptions. We have spreads at the end, the Witch's Circle Astrology spread. We've got the Celtic Cross. And then there's Howard's 6-card spread in here too. About the author, Howard Rodway was born in Surrey, England. His education, he went to Zambia, spent some time in the colonial service, blah, blah, blah. He's been involved in the occult world for a quarter of a century, during which time he's worked for the renowned international clairvoyant Kim Tracey, who's one of the consultants, and for Dr. Francis Ngombe, president of the Association of African and Asian Medicine Men. His psychic experiences have been related in Psychic News and in his first book, The Psychic Directory, which was published by Futura in 1984. Okay, blah, blah. He has a deep interest in Native American spiritual beliefs and customs, and like Sylvia and her husband Leon, sponsors a Sioux Indian youngster who lives in South Dakota. Okay, so that gives him license for the appropriation there. Sorry, I got salty looking at this deck. Could you tell? And it's one of my favorites, too. And I guess, I need to just get down with my bad self here and come off of my hypercritical Virgo brainness. Because I have Mercury in Virgo conjuncting Pluto in Virgo, and those sit on my midheaven, and that makes me really obsessive about details and hypercritical. I mean, intensely critical about things. So I do want to say that this is still one of my favorite decks. I like it. It's, I vibe with it. It's one of the ones I've had for the longest time. And it is a creature of its age, of its time. This is the way things were with the craft when this deck was designed and put out. So, ultimately, yes, it's a good deck. Ultimately, go ahead and get yourself one. I don't know who's publishing this now, or even if it's being published now. So that would be something to look up. And if I can keep like quacking away for an overly long video right now and get my computer to behave, I'm actually going to look that up for you. So, and I might do a second little edit on this video. when I say I'm never going to edit, but you know what? I do care about you people. Okay, Tarot of the Old Path, tarot.com. It looks like it is available. I go to Amazon to see what's out and what's not. Yeah, it's still available and published now by A.G. Mueller. Not a surprise. A lot of decks that were published by smaller European publishing houses have been transferred to A.G. Mueller as, yeah, the Verlads AG. So A.G. Mueller, definitely. Anyhow, that's the Tarot of the Old Path. I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe and all that happy crappy. As soon as I'm sort of recovered, I'm going to start putting up some new and different content. And I know I keep promising, but I think I'm going to put up a video about my particular issues just so you understand me a little bit more. I love to engage with you. Put a comment down below. I will answer you. I'm small and I'm staying small for the foreseeable future, so we can be friends. Okay, good talking with you. I'll talk to you later, guys. Blessed be. This is the Zen Witch.